Hi again, everyone. Let's now start our second panel on a vibrant global tech industry and favorable environment for startups and scale-ups. And after having touched upon legal, labor, and regulatory considerations, we'll now talk about other very important aspects for digital nomads, which are, technology and innovation on one hand, and on the other hand, the favorable environment that we have in terms of promoting startups and scale-ups. And with me here today, I have Florence Vanholsbeeck. Florence is the Economic and Investment Trade Counselor of the Walloon region for Madrid since January 2021. She's responsible for assisting companies from the region of Wallonia in Belgium in exporting their products and services to Spain and to support Spanish companies wishing to expand to Wallonia in Belgium. Before being appointed to that role, she worked for the Wallonia Export and Investment Agency in Mexico City for more than 8 years, and she also worked for 10 years for the US Embassy in Brussels in the areas of public affairs and protocol. She also taught diplomacy protocol and intercultural communication at various institutes and academies in Belgium and in the Netherlands. Also, Nacho Mateo. Nacho is the CEO of South Summit. He has an outstanding international career. He has dedicated more than 11 years to South Summit's growth. He has established the startup competition as a global platform for entrepreneurs, expanding into Latin America and driving initiatives to connect all stakeholders in the entrepreneurial and innovation ecosystem. Since 2017 at the IE University, he has led the internationalization and growth strategy of entrepreneurial initiatives. And during his university years, he worked as a corporate lawyer in the international law department of the Japanese law firm Anderson, Mori and Tomotsune in Tokyo. He also founded the company Nax Technologies. And last but not least, Antonio Elcarte. He's the deputy head of human resources at OpenBank and Open Digital Services since January 2023. He has been working in the HR field for over 15 years, and he worked mainly in the banking and tech sectors in Spain and in Luxembourg. Previously, he held senior HR roles at Amazon Web Services in Spain and Bank in Luxembourg. In his current role, he manages over 1,500 employees in Spain with a growth of around 30% year on year. Team, my first question to you, and I'll start with you, my first victim, Florence. Why is Spain so attractive to foreign tech entrepreneurs and startups and scale-ups? And as a sub-question, what are the current challenges and opportunities for entering the Spanish market?
Thank you, Gwen. Yes, indeed. Spain has become a very compelling destination for many entrepreneurs. And in my opinion, that will be for 5 main reasons. I'm not going to detail all of them because of lack of time, but I'm at least going to quote them. So the first one for sure is the affordable living in Spain. Even in big cities, which are becoming more and more expensive, it is still the case. So that's, of course, very easy for startups, scale-ups, and entrepreneurs. The second one is, I would say, a growing tech talent ecosystem and pool with many universities offering more degrees in cloud computing, digital technologies, and so on. Another reason is, of course, the ecosystem, which is very supportive for startups and PMEs and companies. Also, you have a lot of incubators, accelerators, many networking opportunities for entrepreneurs in Spain, and also some tax incentive and grants and public and private fundings. So that makes it quite interesting for companies to come to Spain. Now, another reason, in my opinion, would also be geography. Being in Spain, you have very easy access to Europe and to Africa, but also to Latin American market. So that's definitely a big advantage for all the companies coming here. And the last one would obviously be what I call the high quality of life. Not only sun, even if we already say that that's very important. Not only if you're coming from Scandinavia, but also if you're coming from Belgium, as we said at the beginning, right? And a good balance of work and leisure. That's something I think really very important in Spain that you don't have in so many countries nowadays. So knowing that, I would say that main opportunities in the Spanish market would be in the following sectors. Let's say any sector linked to digital transformation, so IoT, cloud computing, and so on, but also in other sectors like health tech, fintech, and even smart mobility, smart cities, and so on. Now, let's quote just a few challenges, maybe, because, well, it's true. There also are some challenges. The first one I would list is one we already discussed earlier in the first panel. It's called bureaucracy. And I'm sure you all know what it is. This can be very challenging for entrepreneurs, even for diplomats, I would say. Now, another one would be the high unemployment rate, at least in some digital communities of Spain. Some talent retention as well. Maybe some high fiscal cost, depending, once again, where you're based in Spain. And sometimes little access to venture capital funding. That's something I've heard many times from companies and startups. And the last one I would talk about today is maybe the many disparities existing in the country, not only in terms of business environment, but also culture, language, and of course regulations. So in a nutshell, I would say that Spain is definitely an interesting market in all the sectors I've quoted, despite of some disadvantages.
And Nacho, what is your take on that? Why do you feel that Spain is so attractive to foreign tech entrepreneurs?
Yeah. Well, I think that she already mentioned all the benefits that Spain has in the ecosystem, but I think I will stress two of the benefits that were mentioned by her. Right? As she said, I think that Spain has a unique positioning in Europe because it is seen as an entry gateway, not only for the local market that we have here in Spain, which is 46 million people, but also an entry point for the whole European market, which has more than 450 million people, right? And especially talking from the perspective of Latin American digital nomads. No? They see the entry point to Spain, of course, due to the cultural connection that we have with Latin America. And at the same time, Spain, we cannot forget that is position in the 5th position in Europe in terms of maturity of the ecosystem. We are just behind UK, Germany, Netherlands, and France are the other top 4 countries in Europe. So that combination of having a connection with Latin America in geography, situation, and being a very mature ecosystem, that gives us a unique value proposition to be a connector between Latin America and Europe, no? And not only for Latin American entrepreneurs or digital nomads, but vice versa as well. We have many cases of founders that are establishing in a space, especially scale-ups that are looking for internationalization to different markets, that are establishing in Spain, or they see Spain as a gateway to enter in the Latin American market because they don't have the knowledge on how to access, especially Asian entrepreneurs or European entrepreneurs. No? So I think that's a very good value proposition for Spain in order to compete with our top tech hubs that we have in Europe. No? And the second one, I would say lifestyle, of course, a high level of quality life that we have here in Spain. Life expectancy here is fantastic, weather is fantastic, food is fantastic, and of course that's important when you are thinking about where to move. No? And not only from the founder perspective that he wants to have a good quality of life, but also that's a very attractive or appealing thing if you want to attract to your company international talent as well. No? So that's an advantage for any founder that is established here and you need to compete with another one that is hiring talent. These are some things that are appealing, in order to attract international talent. No? So I will say those are the main benefits for the ecosystem. And the other sub-question in terms of challenges, of course we have many challenges here in the ecosystem in Spain. I will say investment is one of them, actually, especially the access to investment rounds. I'm not talking about the early stage or pre-seed startups, because I think in Spain here, in data stages, we have a lot of access to capital. The venture capital ecosystem is quite mature. But I'm talking more about the scale up or the later stages, when the founders are scaling up and they need to rise bigger investment rounds of Series A or Series B series. Here in Spain, we have a lack of access to those kind of investment rounds. So, and usually a founder needs to look for Germany or UK or even the US. So I think in Spain here we have a room of improvement, no? in order to foster investments in that sense. So I would say that's a big challenge for the ecosystem in order to compete with other international tech hubs.
And do you feel that some trends or sectors are currently more promising?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Actually, at South Summit every year, we conduct a report analyzing all the startups that apply for South Summit every year. We used to have 4,500 startups every year. So we get all the data and we made a report, we published a report which is called the Entrepreneurship Map. And we, of course, historically in Spain, we have had two very mature sectors that have been historically very, very successful. One is healthcare. Healthcare has been in Spain a very successful sector for entrepreneurs. And the second one is fintech. Fintech has been historically a very mature ecosystem. Many startups have been very successful working on the fintech sector. Probably because Spain has a very strong financial system and we have many banks that are leading banks in Europe. No? So, not only having those big banks and that big, well, we have OpenBank here, so he can tell us a little bit, but also the mentality of these big corporations has been in the last decade very open in terms of collaborating with the startups. No? And that open innovation philosophy has been making a lot of improvement in those specific industries. So I will say that in terms of sector-wise, I will mention those two. In terms of technology, of course, AI is now booming. In terms of adoption in Entrepreneurship Map that we elaborate, we saw that 30% of the startups that are based here in Spain have already AI on their daily operation. No? So then that rate is still lower compared to other top ecosystems. Numbers are higher in other ecosystems. But that's an opportunity actually, because if you're working on AI, on business operations, and so I think that Spain now is a perfect market because there's a lot of market in order to acquire that technology for operations.
And Florence, since you are a trade counselor, what, from your diplomatic perspective, are digital and tech companies looking for actually?
Yes, yeah, you can, yeah, okay. They're definitely looking for growth, opportunities, partnership, new talent, and new markets, that's for sure. So now some scale-ups and startups might also be looking for international funding, of course. As you all know, Belgium and Wallonia have a strong tradition of in R&D. So that means that we, particularly in some sectors like health tech and biotech and clean tech. So this being said, we have a lot of companies working in these fields, in these sectors, for instance, telemedicine in health sectors has grown quite a lot. So we have a lot of Belgian companies, for instance, looking for new technologies, allowing them to enhance patient care, for instance, just to give one example, or also to enhance drug development or diagnostics and other kind of biotech processes. Another sector important in my point of view would also be, let's say, all the green technologies, particularly with, aiming to meet the EU sustainability standards by 2030, for instance. So that would be also a very important sector where a lot of partnerships and collaborations can be made. Smart city and mobility, I mentioned it in the first question. This is also something quite important. As you know, Belgium and Wallonia have a very strong logistics sector as well. So any application being able to manage fleet management, for instance, is also something companies might be looking for. So all these sectors are, I think, the most important ones. And by the way, if you're interested or if you're working on one of those, please contact with me after the event or another day, because we're organizing a big mission, technological, commercial, and academic mission in March. For the first time, it's not going to be in Madrid. It's going to be in Malaga, another very interesting city talking about digital nomads. But I'm not going to steal too much time right now. But if you're interested in one of those sectors, please come and see me after the panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Florence. And we have Luis joining us on stage right on time. Luis is a research and product manager at Clarity AI. Well, the next question is for you both, Antonio and Luis. With Spain's increasing investments in the digital area, as Oscar Romera mentioned at the beginning of the event, what specific resources exist to help tech specialists and startups here in Spain?
Sure. First of all, apologies, I went to the wrong place. I went to Castellana 194. Sorry for that. So specific resources in Spain. I can speak from the point of view of somebody that has worked in finance and has worked in capital markets, but at the same time I've been working in a scale-up, and I can tell you that there are some specific resources. There is, you have the Beckham law that makes it attractive to talent to come to Spain, and I think it's a good proposition for a lot of people that work in tech or that work in the space. And also you have the startup law, which has not had a lot of impact, but it's a good let's say indication that there is a welcoming environment here for startups wanting to locate here. And then you also have funding. So you have Fondico, or you have the European investment funds, who have a tradition of helping fund some venture capital instruments here in Spain, which has helped a lot in terms of building this ecosystem. No, and well, they work with the financing, but well, you fund the venture capital that funds the startups. Then the startups grow. Then they create like this talent, this know-how, and that creates like a flywheel effect. No.
So I can speak from the perspective of someone that hires and retains people. So when it comes to attract tech specialists, I would say one of the things they see as a resource in Spain for them is, first of all, the easiness and the regulation of remote working in Spain. This is something, speaking about Malaga or cities like Valencia, there is something they find very attractive. Having the capacity of working from anywhere in Spain. I'd say Spain is becoming a vibrant country with plenty of events for STEM profiles. We have a lot of conferences where people that is coming from abroad and Spanish nationals as well can go and network. There are many startups going there, many tech companies that we all know, and this is something that is very good for this type of talent. And then I would say as well, we have, and this is something that happens in our company, in OpenBank, we don't have a space for everyone. Our facilities are not big enough for everyone, and with high growth in people that we have, we hire a lot of people that is working remotely, many of them from home, many of them from co-working spaces. And surprisingly, this is a place where people is doing a lot of networking. They are knowing people. They are meeting people there. They refer people to be hired in other companies, and they make business. And this is something that is very good. And I don't think every country has this capacity of letting people work from anywhere. And the other resource we have, not for tech specialists, but for people that want to become a tech specialist, is that we have plenty of bootcamps. There are plenty of institutions, and more nowadays that are offering bootcamps to reskill those people that want to transform their CVs into a tech profile and adapt to the necessities that we're having currently and that we're going to have in the future, where not the banking industry by itself or the tech sector, every industry needs to digitalize and are going to need this type of digital profiles.
Thank you very much, very interesting. And I think you touched upon the next question already. So what unique talent does Spain offer, especially when it comes to diversity of profiles, education, for example, or any other aspect that you feel is relevant in terms of human resources for startups and scale-ups?
It is a difficult question to answer. What is unique talent? I think Spain offers a bunch of there's a lot of talent in Spain in terms of what we understand of digital talent. We have many institutions, universities that are adapting to the needs of the companies in order to become digital, even if we don't even know what are we going to need tomorrow, because we don't know what AI is going to bring. We can foresee a bit, but I think we don't have the certainty of knowing what we're going to need. I was speaking about bootcamps, universities. One of the things that Spain brings is the capacity of adapting this type of profiles, of reskilling, of training. I think, and I see from my place hiring people, is we have a lot of talent, but there is a scarce competition for talent. We don't have all the talent we need, so we need to adapt our regulations and become a more attractive country for even more for this type of profiles. I think we're seeing a lot of people wanting to come to Spain. We have talked before about all the reasons for coming to Spain, all the benefits. What I see from the people we hire from abroad is that they see Spain as a state member of the European Union, which brings a lot of stability. And specifically, Madrid is a European capital that is safer than many other countries and capitals in Europe and in the world. And it is still cheaper. The cost of labor in Spain, not only the cost of living, the cost of labor in Spain, it is still cheaper than in other capitals in the European Union, which is making the country quite attractive.
Nacho, what is your thought?
Well,
What are your thoughts on that?
I think that, I mean, I'm Spanish, so I feel very proud of my country, and I think that it's not a matter of lack of national talent. I mean, Spain, I think, has in terms of universities, we have a very good positioning in terms of business schools. We have iUniversity, we have IESE, which are always ranked in the top 5 European business schools in Europe. And in terms of engineering as well, we have fantastic engineering universities. I think it's a matter that the talent is migrating to different countries, right? And that has to be with regulation. That has to be to level of salaries. That of course that's a pain that we are suffering in Spain. I think it's not a matter of how can we create more talent. I think it's how can we retain the talent that we have and make a regulation that is better in order to be able to pay better salaries and to attract the talent here to Spain, and to retain it. Of course, I don't have the magic formula in terms of regulation, but I think the pain is not creating the talent. I think Spain has a fantastic university ecosystem. It's a matter of how can we compete with other European Union and US countries in order to pay the same salaries that any person, a qualified person, needs to aspires to get, right? So I think that's the debate, in my opinion.
Very interesting thoughts, and I think that panel 4, the last panel today, will be a nice opportunity to go a bit deeper in these aspects. If we now come back to our core subject, startups, Florence, you as a diplomat, what is your experience on government strategies to attract startups and people that gravitate around startups? And I think you have a very particular example in mind about what you call the Belgian soft landing.
Yeah,
Tell us a bit about it.
Yes, indeed. Belgium, including Wallonia, offer a lot of incentives. We have we have many soft landing programs, but I wanted to talk about this today because actually the big news is that it just opened to Spanish companies, because there is a new program which was not open to Spanish companies yet, and it just opened together at the same time to Spanish and UK companies. I don't know why the two countries at the same time, but that's what it is. So this is very interesting. It's one of the many programs we offer. When I say we, I mean AWEX, which is the Walloon Investment and Export Agency, together with WSL. WSL is the Walloon Science and Technology Incubator, I mean one of them. We also work in collaboration with Nacho, which is an investment fund for startups. Some of you might know it. And also with Digital Wallonia, which is a government initiative to drive digital technology into Wallonia. So all these institutions working together offer, well, of course, incentives and financial support, which is something very interesting and most of the time very highly demanded. We have huge tax benefits in Belgium because we have a lot of taxes. So we also have a lot of tax benefits. That's the truth. Depending on the sectors, we have some big advantages for expats, for instance. We have some big advantages in R&D. You can benefit up to 85%. Which is really huge. Then, of course, we have subsidies for research. In not all the sectors, obviously, we focus on high-value sectors, which are the sectors I already mentioned earlier, like health tech, fintech, biotech, green tech, clean tech, and so on. We also have a lot of co-working spaces. I'm just thinking of one of them in Wallonia right now, which is called La Grand Poste, but it's really one of many, many examples where a lot of national and international startups can work together and connect. Now, other advantages of these kind of programs, because it's not just only financing and funds, it's also to ease the market entry. We help you connecting with other people from the same sector. AWEX is still working most of the time free of charge. Well, when I say free of charge, that means that the companies do not have to pay for many services, which is certainly going to change very soon, I have to say. But nowadays, it's still the case. We're helping you to connect with other people. We offer you mentorship, consulting with some experts working for us or for other companies. And in a nutshell, the main advantage of these programs, I would say, are, of course, minimizing initial cost, which is very important for startups and scale-ups. Accelerating the market understanding, for instance, all the legal regulation, which is not easy to understand or to know when you arrive to a new country, and integrate easier, faster, and better in a new ecosystem. That's, for me, the most important reasons and advantages of such a program. Now, I would say as a conclusion that all these institutions I mentioned and many others working together can really create a very comprehensive ecosystem that will for sure facilitate your entry, because you will have some problems. As we mentioned, it's not only in Spain, it's the same in Belgium. Regulations not always easy to understand, but please don't hesitate to be adventurous, as we said at the beginning, because that will open you so many doors.
Thank you very much, Florence. Florence and Nacho, you both shared your views about current opportunities that we have here in Spain. Now I will ask the question to Luis and Antonio about the future. What do you believe will be the future trends here in Spain in terms of tech and startups?
So I think Spain's got a brilliant future ahead. If we still have good regulations that help the country to attract this good talent, we have we were speaking about all the benefits: safe place, the sun, the weather, the work-life balance that we have here. There are plenty of benefits. I believe there's going to be the need of having a massive reskilling of much of the population in the future due to AI, and I'm looking at the financial sector, and I'm not speaking about fintechs. I'm speaking about big banks with hundreds of thousands of employees worldwide. That are not yet prepared to welcome the AI revolution that it is going to come. So it is going to be key for Spain's employability and the capacities that we are going to have here for Spanish companies, for startups, for foreign investors as well. To have people that is prepared and is reskilled and learns digital skills, and to work with AI, that today's adoption is going higher and higher. I wouldn't say that is the case in the banking sector. We still have a lot of reticence to work with AI tools due to cybersecurity issues, because they don't want to have data in those platforms. But it is going to come. We can fight against it, but it's going to come. So we have a bright future ahead if we are successful in upskilling and reskilling our people in Spain.
Yes, I want to give like a gloomier view. So we have Well, one main problem here in Spain, which is demographics, I think it's common across all of the EU, but here everything is a bit tougher or a bit worse. What it means is that the cost to of every employee is going to increase every year because of the pension cost. There is an automatic mechanism that is going to be increasing every year until 2040 or 2050. That's going to be a big hurdle to get over if we want to remain or to be more prosperous in the future. But I'm optimistic in the sense that if we do the right things in terms of becoming more productive or becoming more skilled, then we can kind of outgrow that external cost and get higher salaries. At the same time, there is a very interesting development in terms of solar energy. That is, the cost of solar energy is going lower and decreasing faster than anyone expected. That's something that is a bit on the background, but it has been happening for a long time, and it's continuing without stop. And in the next 10 years, the energy mix of the world is going to be very different. And Spain, because of being the country with the largest number of sun hours per year in Europe, is very well positioned to take advantage of that development. So I'm expecting big changes in terms of the demographic, big changes in terms of energy mix, big changes in terms of the price of energy. And that has, I think, a lot of implications of looking for ways to lower cost of everything and making Spain an advantageous place in terms of cost of energy. Maybe not cost of labor, but cost of energy. And that has some implications, no? So what does it mean to everything around us? Well, maybe we see some onshoring of industries, or maybe new industries that are nascent get installed here. So I'm thinking data centers or things related to manufacturing of solar. Things like that, I think are going to be more and more common here in Spain, where we have some news of a lot of state-of-the-art data centers being built and installed here. And I think that's going to create a very good ecosystem in terms of, okay, people think about Spain, think about cheap energy, think about data centers. That's kind of a simplified version of how I see the future. Just let's hope that more higher efficiency and lower cost is enough to overcome our big demographic hurdle that we have to fight. Yep.
Thank you very much. And we have some time left, so I'd like to ask you, the four of you, one maybe last question. Would you have any piece of advice, very quickly, to share with investors or entrepreneurs that are looking to enter the Spanish market?
Well, come to South Summit. you will make a lot of connections, and you will get an immersive 3 days knowing all the ecosystem and connecting with all the national and international actors of the ecosystem. That will be my advice.
Thank you, Nacho. Otherwise, well, of course, we are open to answer all your questions, so feel free to let us know if you have any comments or anything you'd like to ask to our four panelists.
Hello, thank you. It was really interesting. I have a question for Ignacio about what you talk about. I know there is a panel later about salaries or more focus, but this is something that always is in my mind. And it's about expectations of people that come here to Spain with their startup or trying to work in technology. And how do we do in order to balance expectations and the salaries that if you compare to Belgium, Luxembourg, and other countries, and the lifestyle that it's growing, like rent here now, I think it's just a report of last weeks or last month, it's even more expensive than in Brussels. So how do you do as in your positions, and how can we do it in the market? It's an open question, and I know it's really difficult, but it's something that you mentioned, and it's something that for me, when I recommend people from Brussels, from other countries and cities to come, it's something to have in consideration. And tech sector, it's one of the main problems because we don't have that. That benefits. That's my question. If you have been challenging working with this, or how can we work?
The situation, it's true. I mean, we have to compete with higher salaries, and of course, we don't have the weapons that other countries have, especially in terms of taxation, because at the end, the salary, 30% of every salary must be paid by the company, right? So that's a big disadvantage, because if we reduce taxation in somehow, we can be more competitive in terms of salary. But nowadays, as we don't have that weapon, it's true that you need to deal with other weapons that are emotional salary, of course, the high level quality of life that we have here in Spain. Also thinking what we do at South Summit, we have a very strong corporate culture, and everyone that is at South Summit feels in love with the culture of South Summit, the purpose of the company, the mission that we have of helping entrepreneurs. So that's the best weapon you can use to attract people at the end. Hire people that is totally committed with the mission of your company, and they fell in love with the company not because of the salary, but because of the impact that the people is making in the whole entrepreneurial ecosystem, in our case at South Summit. So I think that's the best weapon we can use. And of course we have Spain, we have Fiesta, we have Siesta, and that's another weapon that we have against Germany, for example.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Any other
you.
questions?
Yes, for Luis, perhaps you spoke about data center who needs a lot of energy, but they also need a lot of water. So how do you think they will tackle this lack of water in Spain?
I'm not an expert, but I think there are there are data centers that are closed loop, so they don't need, they need a lot of water the first time, but then they can live with that. But I don't have a good answer for that. I'm sorry.
But that's why, because you came with this topic and it was interesting.
It's one way to illustrate, lower energy cost because of solar can generate a lot of advantages for Spain. Hopefully it decreases the cost of living in Spain, making it more attractive even if salaries don't raise as much. But I echo what has been said here. I think a lot of the people that I see that are coming here because they just like living here. It's, I don't know, it's like something you cannot touch, you cannot see, but people are happy here even if it's at the cost of a lower salary, because they make up for it otherwise. And you save money because you don't have to travel to Spain if you already live in Spain or for summer. So, yeah.
On the data center question, there are indeed closed loop data centers who don't need water. So yes.
Question answered. Thank you very much to all of you for your answers and your dynamic discussions. Thank you also for your time and interest. It's now coffee break.